Welcome to Living a Full Life podcast. Join us as we explore health topics that encourage raising healthy children, living a healthy life, and living the best life possible. Now, here's your host.
Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Enrico Dolcecore, and welcome to another episode of Living a Full Life. And this week, we're talking about allergies. They are debilitating, they are annoying, and they're consistent. Allergies happen because of a reaction to environmental proteins. They can be pollen, grass, plant-based, animal-based, dander, mites, dust, mold. Allergies respond to create a histamine reaction in our body, which is the allergic symptoms that we get: runny nose, stuffiness, sinus pressure, cruddy throat. And these happen because of our body's ability to react to these proteins in the environment. So today's podcast is about what we can do to mitigate allergies, what we can do to help our sinuses, and what we can do to avoid some of these nasty symptoms that happen with allergic reactions. Let's start with the structure of the sinuses in our head and why this ends up happening. We're all built a little bit different. We all don't look the same on the inside. So when we do CAT scans of people's heads, we can see different sizes of these sinuses. You have two on both sides of your nose and two above your eyebrows. So your maxillary sinuses are there, and they can be different sizes in different people. Typically, they're about the same size, all four of them. The maxillary ones typically being a little bit bigger. That's where a lot of the mucus gets held up, and you can blow that out. If you blow hard enough, you can drain the maxillary sinuses. But they fill up, and they're lined with tissue on the inside as well. And if they react poorly to these proteins that get in there, they can, and these allergens and viruses and whatever particles are in there, they can create mucus and irritation and inflammation. And because they're encapsulated areas like caves, if the lining of the wall becomes inflamed, the sinus becomes smaller. And then now you don't have enough room for the mucus. You don't have enough room for breathing. You get stuffy, and it's just, you got a runny nose, postnasal drip, the stuff going down your throat. That is where the annoying symptoms happen. So that's the structure of sinuses. They're coated with pretty much skin lining, epithelial lining there, that get irritated because of the reaction they have with the environmental toxins that they run into. Okay, we understand that. I'm allergic to pollen, doc. Get moving with this podcast. What do we do? Sinus health is going to be the most important thing moving into taking care of your health. So maintaining proper hydration is one of the biggest things to help with sinus issues. Drinking 80 plus ounces of water per day, depending on your body weight, but most people can do over 100 ounces of water per day. Keeping yourself hydrated, adding a little pinch of salt to your water, or a little bit of fresh lemon juice to your water, makes it more alkaline and creates more hydration when you drink. So sometimes just drinking filtered water isn't enough because you just end up going to the bathroom a lot. Trying to add some alkalinity to it or some salt to it, like an electrolyte, can actually help you absorb more of the hydration that you're drinking. So keeping hydrated is really important. Nasal hygiene. I ended up talking to a lot of people who don't practice any nasal hygiene. They don't do anything for their nose unless they're in a sinus flare or sick or have rhinitis. Then they're trying to mitigate the symptoms of the cold or the virus that they have because they're so stuffy they can't breathe. And then they start doing the remedies or the over-the-counter medications or whatever it may be. But practicing a nasal rinse every day in the shower is a great way to keep nasal cavities clear. Now, making sure we know what we're doing when we do that, make sure you use distilled water. You cannot use the shower water that's coming out of the faucet because that's not perfectly clean. And you don't want to be putting that into your sinus cavity because it's interior to your body. And if you put dirty water in there, you can increase the risk of infection. So we don't want that. Definitely don't want that. So distilled water, and then adding something to that water to make it more saline based and clear. There's something you can buy online called X Clear, the letter X Clear fairly cheap. They come in a powder. You put a packet in there with your bottle, and you do it that way. And just do it every day. Quick, shoot up the one nostril, blow it out the other side, shoot up the other nostril, blow it out the other side. And you do this right in the shower. It keeps it clean. Just need to do it once. Manage your allergies. I mean, how do you manage the allergies when you're allergic to the world? That is tough. But, identifying the triggers is really important with that. Taking a daily antihistamine, and I don't mean to knock this, is a Band-Aid. It helps. People who do end up stopping their antihistamine feel so bad that they're like, oh my gosh, I need to be on something. I'm constantly stuffy and itchy eyes. I got to take this every day. And they end up taking it every day forever. And a constant antihistamine can actually decrease your body's natural production of histamine in other areas that are required to help, mitigate other health cascade. So never, taking something daily is never a good idea. So that's one thing, is nasal, cleaning out the air. A humidifier can definitely help no matter what parts of the country you live in dry areas, in the desert, or in coastal areas where it's humid. A humidifier can actually do wonders at night in your bedroom to keep the air hydrated, because dry air dries out the nasal cavity, and there has to be a little production of mucus to keep tissue healthy. So a humidifier does play a big role. If you're in air conditioner state where you run the air conditioner all the time because it's hot, your air is actually quite drier on the inside of the house, which is a good thing for mold mitigation and other things as well. You don't want a humid home, but having a humidifier run just at night when you're in there can play a huge role in your nasal health and your sinus health. Avoid direct irritants. And some things people forget about is not just the allergies, but like secondhand smoke, constant burning of essential oils, essential sticks, what are those called when they're in the, Glade plug-in scents, these synthetic perfumes, colognes, lotions with smells to them, the detergents we use in our laundry room. If you can smell it, it's got that strong smell to it. Those are toxic. Those are toxic, and they can cause irritation in the sinuses as well. So we forget about those irritants. VOCs. Make sure we mitigate those and eliminate those as much as possible. You should not have a car air freshener that you drive in for an hour every day. Do not have that stuff. If you're trying to mask a mildew smell, you got mold. People don't put a pine air freshener in there to mitigate mildew, because the mildew is growing somewhere in your car or your home. That makes no sense. You got to mitigate. You got to get rid of that. Get rid of that stuff, because that's the irritant that's causing a lot of your sinus issues. Hygiene, of course, keeping things clean, your face clean, your hands clean. So when you're touching your face, you're mitigating direct contact. And a healthy lifestyle. I think every podcast we talk about eating well, eating an alkaline diet, these things all help as well. Pressure changes when we have a sinus infection or sinusitis in the moment can be very painful. So going into an airplane or doing anything like that where we have sudden pressure changes can hurt. And then seeing an ENT, making sure that you know what is happening structurally with your sinuses, because there's other things that can happen with our sinuses. We could have polyps, we can have growths, we could have obstructions that if we mitigate with an antihistamine all the time, we may never get to an answer because we have a structural defect in there, that deviated septum. Then we can properly and medically attend to those cases specifically. Hopefully it makes sense. You still with me? Allergies, right? Seasonal allergies, annoying. Those are just ways we can keep healthy sinus health, is what this whole podcast is about, keeping our sinuses healthy. And, trying to stick away from over-the-counter medications all the time, nasal sprays. Masking this issue causes a lot of problems. There are also alternative healthcare ways of working with our sinuses as well. Chiropractors can adjust the sinuses, which has given people relief. They can adjust the ears and the sinus to help with drainage. That's a good way of doing it. Craniosacral massages, and people familiar with the cranium, they can do massages, and there's also acupuncture. Acupuncture can help with not only with the sinuses, but also the allergy response itself, histamine regulation as well. So a lot of cool research down that way, which has no side effect, unlike constant anti-inflammatory or constant antihistamine, which depletes the body or suppresses the body's natural ability to produce those things. So we're always looking at the natural way and to mitigate consumption of medications all the time. Those are never good practices long term. Short term, completely understandable when you're sick and stuffy and you need something to relieve the mucus. Those things can work, but taking something daily forever is not very logical on how human physiology works. So we definitely want to be on top of that with sinuses. If you have questions or you have specific concerns, always reach out to us. We'll find local providers in your area that can answer your questions better. Follow us at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We're on Full Life Chiropractic or Full Life Chiro. And subscribe, like this, share it so we can get to more listeners. That would be fantastic. And keep updated on our social media for local events, webinars, and things that we do that you can access from the comfort of your own home. Have a fantastic week.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Living a Full Life podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. That helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.